What if the trauma you've been trying to heal for years isn't actually trauma at all? Or at least, not only trauma. I spent 40 years trying to fix a broken past, only to realize the issue wasn't just what happened to me. It was also how my brain was built to process it. Today, we're untangling why autism and trauma look identical, why I spent decades confused, and the one realization about my childhood that finally changed how I saw my own story. Everything feels like too much. Some people can walk into Costco on a Saturday, hear babies screaming in aisle 6, get bumped by 3 shopping carts, listen to fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and somehow leave totally fine. But for me and a lot of autistic people, we don't need to go into a massive store on the busiest day of the week to feel overwhelmed. We just exist, and overwhelm still happens. And if we do have to go into a busy store,
so we go in, put it down, 10 minutes, we out.
That's because the world is noisy and overstimulating when you're neurodivergent. It's like everything around you is always set on max volume, but everyone else seems to have it muted. So you're still expected to act normal, while going to a restaurant feels like a rock concert, and it's a sauna. And then there's 10,000 questions and decisions, all within the first 30 seconds of going in.
Hi, friends. My name is Fizzy, and I will be taking the best care of you today. Oh my gosh. Have you guys been here before? Honestly, you coming in here today is like one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I am so excited to bring you something refreshing to drink. We have, oh my gosh, we have coffee, water, Coke products, tea. Oh, how about a lemonade? Oh, we have raspberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, vodka-infused bourbon with cotton candy and Pokemon Tears lemonade. How about one of each?
So I have a reason that I look dazed or constantly like a deer in headlights. I'm always overloaded when I leave my house. The same can happen for people who have experienced trauma. A certain sensory experience or sound or trigger brings them back to that moment, and they're suddenly in fight or flight mode. Also, someone who experienced trauma early and might have developed CPTSD might react strongly to their environment because they're often in a stage of fight, flight, or fart. Or is it freeze? From the outside, the reactions can look almost identical. Wanting to leave, shutting down, getting irritable, avoiding situations, feeling emotionally tired after small things like a change in plans or a detour on the way home. But underneath, the reasons may be different. For autistic people, the overwhelm may come from sensory processing, social processing, unpredictability, or constantly trying to keep up. For trauma, the brain may be scanning for danger, conflict, rejection, or emotional threat. And for a lot of autistic people, that trauma isn't from one isolated incident. It's from years of bad experiences with tons of people, in tons of settings, being told our feelings weren't valid. It's not that loud.
Stop being so dramatic.
Just deal with it. We're both overstimulated and processing all the input while also scanning for signs that we're headed into another bad experience, aka danger, because that's how it feels to our nervous systems. So you start thinking, apparently I'm just horrible at life. Can't even handle shopping at Costco. Which is a pretty brutal way to live. And speaking of that Costco example I gave earlier, here's the kicker. It's not just the lights and the noise. It's the people inside the store. And that's where the lines get even blurrier. Never getting it right with people. Do you ever leave a conversation feeling completely normal? And then an hour later, your brain suddenly decides it's time for a full-blown investigation? Why did she pause for so long? Was she annoyed? Did I talk too much? Was that joke weird? And before you know it, you're replaying the conversation over and over again, like a stuck scratch CD in your car radio. Wow, I just realized I don't even know the last time I saw a CD. Wait, does that make me old? For years, I thought this was just anxiety. I thought I was overthinking, that I needed to stop being so sensitive. But eventually, I realized something. My brain wasn't trying to ruin my day. My brain was trying to solve a problem. The problem was people. And before anyone gets offended, people are confusing, especially when you spend your entire life feeling like everyone got a rule book that you somehow missed. One of the things that surprised me the most after my autism diagnosis was realizing just how much mental energy I was spending trying to figure other people out. Not connecting with them, not enjoying the conversations, just figuring them out. What did they mean? What did that look mean? Was that sarcasm? Are they upset? Am I talking too much? Not enough? And while all that's happening, you're also trying to participate in the conversation. It's like trying to play chess while taking a math test while somebody quizzes you on social rules. that sounds relaxing. And here's the part that took me years to understand. A lot of us aren't just paying attention to the conversation. We're frantically paying attention to ourselves. Am I making enough eye contact? Too much eye contact? Is my face doing the right thing?
Nailing the eye contact.
Am I sitting normally? Am I listening correctly?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not hearing a word she's saying.
Because after years of being corrected, criticized, or misunderstood, you learn to monitor yourself constantly. Maybe you were told your facial expressions were wrong. Maybe your body language was wrong. Maybe teachers thought you weren't paying attention. Maybe other kids thought you were weird. Maybe your parents were frustrated because they genuinely didn't understand what was going on. So you start watching people, watching reactions, watching yourself, trying not to make mistakes, unsuccessfully, trying not to get in trouble, unsuccessfully, trying not to get hurt. And after enough years of doing that, you stop noticing you're doing it. It just becomes socializing. That's why I think so many autistic adults are exhausted around people. It's not just the conversation. It's everything happening underneath the conversation. The monitoring, the translating, the predicting, the self-correcting, the replay afterward. And the crazy part? You can do all of that work and still walk away feeling like you got it wrong, which is also where things start getting really complicated because people who have experienced trauma often do some of these exact same things. They watch people's reactions. They try to read the room. They avoid making mistakes. They replay interactions afterward. They become hyper-aware of other people's moods. From the outside, those can look almost identical. And that's one of the reasons autism and trauma get confused so often. But here's what I completely missed for 41 years. The clue wasn't hidden in my behavior. The clue was hidden in my family tree. And there's a good chance it's hidden in yours too. Untangling the past. And one day, you're 41 years old and having massive struggles with sensory input and overwhelm, and you're just hitting a wall. And then you find out you're autistic. And this part begins. And this part is huge. Why did I always think it was just trauma? Because no one recognized I was autistic as a kid. It took decades. And it's because I grew up in a time and in a family where autism was never recognized. That's the story for a lot of us here. And another thing I'm realizing, none of us knew and probably still are coping with understanding it because we also had autism in our families. Research shows that neurodivergents like ADHD and autism often run in families, which means a lot of us have autistic parents, grandparents. So things that were actually autistic traits seem completely normal to us. The sensory stuff, the shutdowns or meltdowns, the cycles of overwhelm, possibly food issues, challenges with making friends or keeping relationships. And everybody in our household just thought, this is normal for kids. Or,
It's just how everyone does it.
we all probably thought it was normal. I remember my grandfather came to visit my family for 2 weeks when I was a kid. He would always go down into our basement and sit by himself for a few hours every day. We thought he was just being grumpy. Now I realize he was just regulating after a day of masking. And growing up in a different generation, our parents didn't know. Teachers and other people didn't know. So if we had parents who probably are also neurodivergent, they were also struggling. Their responses might have caused trauma. So growing up like that, it's no wonder the lines between autism, stress, survival, and trauma became really blurry. You don't realize you're all just trying to survive. And this isn't normal for everyone, but it sure seems normal in our household. This is part of why so many adults like me are figuring it out now. The world is learning more and the understanding of autism has changed a lot in the last 10 to 15 years. Research shows us now how much stress masking can cause, that it's possible to have both autism and ADHD, that autism shows up in unique ways for all of us, and how common it is for autistic people to experience trauma and how many of us struggled for years. It wasn't just trauma. It was often that being autistic in a world that doesn't understand you can cause trauma too. And a lot of people, doctors, parents, therapists, teachers, they didn't know what they were looking at. For a lot of us, that's hard. It feels like a new sort of hard, that realization of all of the years lost. But for me, a few years in, it also brings a lot of relief. And it's the start of forgiveness and acceptance, both for myself and for the people around me earlier in life. None of us knew before, but now we do. And now is the time we can make it different, both for us and for future generations. Because hopefully one day, there'll be autistic kids that grow up with better understanding of who they are and without all of the trauma, because there was better support and understanding around them. So autism and trauma are not the same thing, but they absolutely can overlap. The goal isn't necessarily separating autism from trauma. It's understanding yourself better and learning how to move forward and better support yourself with this new understanding. So share this with someone who can learn from it. And for more learning on your brain, watch this video next.
What are you talking about? That's
Just deal with it, dude.
just how everyone does it.